Monica Cost Show. New levels, no labels. The Monica Cost Show.
Hello and welcome to the Monica Cost Show, New Levels, No Labels. I'm your host, Monica Cost. I'm excited to have you join me as we dismantle the societal labels that keep us unfulfilled, stuck in unhealthy relationships, working in careers that lack purpose, experiencing financial turmoil, putting on spiritual facades, and other disabling rituals. Through conversations with familiar faces, we'll explore the effects of labels, the consequences of conforming, and the liberation of living true. By the end of each segment, it is my prayer that you will begin or continue on your authentic journey to a place of unfiltered personal truth. We won't glorify the rich and famous or dish dirt on those who are having a tough go of it. What you will get is thought-provoking conversation with a purpose, and that is to have notable personalities share their journey in a way that gives others the courage to abandon labels, start living according to their own values, and to join this authentic living movement. We are, in fact, Authentic TV. Today, I am delighted to have actress and community servant Meagan Good for an authentic conversation here on the Monica Cost Show. New levels, no labels. Meagan.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
It's so nice to have you here.
It's awesome to be here. Thank you for
The
having
viewers
me.
don't know, but we've been trying to make this happen for some time, not
Yeah.
the show, but just to get together and sit down. So,
Mm-hmm.
you and I have had lots of conversations about a lot of different things. And I've heard some of your story, but can you talk a little bit sort of about your background and
Right.
what led you to acting and being in Hollywood?
Yeah, I grew up in Canyon Country, California, and the neighborhood that I grew up in was predominantly white, so there was a little bit of racism going on at that time, and I, was kind of struggling in school, struggling to fit in, struggling to kind of figure out who I was and what I could have ownership over. And I wasn't going to be the prom queen or on the cheerleading team or make the dance team. And so my mom put me in acting as kind of a hobby to see, if it was something that I liked. And it turned out to be something that I loved. And so by the time I was about 13, I took it very, very seriously. And here I am.
And didn't look back?
Didn't look back.
What do you like most about your job?
Oh, I love finding the heart in the heartbeat of a person and a character, whether it's somebody I know that's like them or someone I have to research and kind of just like sink my teeth into and find, what I believe they think, they feel, how they would move, what is their reactions, how they interact with other people. That's probably my favorite part. And then once you're comfortable with that, letting the magic happen, however it happens on scene, especially when you're partnered up with another actor.
Sure.
All these awesome things happen.
Yeah, so. And in the theme of authenticity, though, do you sort of have to throw that completely out of the window as you're looking at parts, or are there parts of your authentic self that always, that
Always
sort of
seep through?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think because I think it comes from the understanding of your mind and your heart and your experience. So even while you may be trying to understand someone else's experience, the closest thing that you can get to it is an experience that you've had that's somewhat similar, or an experience that you look up and you perceive in your mind how you would have reacted if you were in that situation. So it's still authentically you, because it's still coming from your brain and your heart and your spirit. But then there's other things too that are kind of they're just what you think, but I guess that's authentic too. So,
yeah, and speaking of your heart, I mean, I've gotten to know some about you and what you care about and the things that drive you, and I don't think most people know it. And so what are some of the things that pull at your heartstrings, whether it be community-based or, other things?
Well, of course, I'm a Jesus girl. Kind of a Jesus freak in a very good way. So I love to just be around people who, love God and are excited about their spirituality and feel very purposeful in life and want to fulfill the potential of who God created them to be. I love, hanging with people that are on a mission like that because that gets me excited. I also have a real heart for young women. Growing up, in the area that I grew up with, the things I dealt with as a little girl, and then, as I began to grow up as a young woman, especially a young woman in that industry, you see a lot, and you experience a lot, you do a lot, and I know that these girls have it so tough, these teenagers, and there's so much, music out there and content being sold to them that's telling them, well, you got to dress like this, and you got to do this, and you got to twerk like that, and you got to this, and you got that, and da-da-da. That's how you're going to be accepted. That's how you're going to get a guy to like you. You got to, give it up, or else somebody else is going to give it up to him, and you're not going to be the one, So my heart just goes out to them. And so I do a lot of speaking with young girls, whether it be at schools, jails, any opportunity that I can get.
Sure.
Yeah,
and around the authenticity piece, and it's interesting because people have this view of what a person who loves God or loves Jesus is supposed to look like, right?
Yeah.
But I think I mentioned this to you before, that one of my favorite Bible verses is, you will know them by their fruit. And I have to say that each encounter with you has been consistent and would make me want to get closer to Christ. I am also a Christian, but I think the way you live, right, there's no correlation between how someone looks and what it is that they believe in their heart. I remember I was on Newbury Street here in Boston one time, and there was a guy with just tattoos everywhere. And he came up to me and he said, "Sister, you are going to be so blessed, Jesus." And he prayed with me on Newbury Street. But if I, just looking at him, he had piercings everywhere. And so how have you handled some of the misconceptions about who you are in your heart versus,
I feel like God had been preparing me for this season pretty much all my adult life, and probably my child life as well. And so, I'm at a point now where I understand that some people are not trying to be hateful. They're just saying what they believe. And some people just don't know any better. Some people are trying to be hateful, but you gotta love the stone thrower regardless. I think that people do have a very specific kind of, some people tend to, especially some Christians, tend to, feel that a Christian should be a certain way and, look a certain way and, all those things. And I'm all about that if it says it in the Bible, specifically. But I think that oftentimes it kind of gets twisted a little bit. And then I think oftentimes we make up principles and values that we feel like are in alignment with God's word, and then we get mad when other people don't follow our principles and our values. And so, it's unfortunate, but at the same token, I'm more focused on being authentically myself. I love myself. I'm happy with myself. I believe that God is proud of my heart because I try every single day to be better, and because he knows what's in my heart. And then at the end of the day, being authentically you is what's going to help you authentically reach other people. And not everybody is for everyone.
That's
right. And, the girls or the guys that I may be out there, I may be able to touch or affect or love on or make them feel like God loves them or just get them into the church. Maybe someone that you may never be able to get in there, and vice versa. Same with your pastor. We're all going to reach somebody different. And I think it's important that we stop shutting people down at the door and stop saying, well, you don't look the part,
Yeah.
So.
Have you ever been tempted to change your self because of some of the feedback that you get?
No.
Yeah. That's a big deal,
Yeah.
and I think that's one of the important things to share with the young girls is it's really hard to own your space in this world, period. Forget if you're in the public's eye. You recently got married.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And though, some people talk about their relationships out loud all the time, and it's interesting because on the one hand, of course you want relationships to work out and you want them to be I don't even know if you want them to be without problems, because that's how you grow, right? Is to get to the other side of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But how do you sort of insulate or protect what you have with your husband when you both are in the public's eye?
Everything else is secondary. You know, we come first. God comes before us, then comes us and our families. And so we make each other the priority. We don't get too caught up in the industry or in the business side of stuff. And really the things that we do in the industry are really to help promote the kingdom anyways. So everything will come hand in hand the way it's supposed to, as long as we keep each other first. And that's really what we do. We talk a lot, we communicate a lot, we, you know, just try to be very, very open with each other. And that's kind of the most,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's great. I know that, so you probably know that I went through a divorce. We talked about that already. And when I talk to more and more people who have gone through it or going through it, or even if they weren't necessarily married, but they were in a long-term relationship, some of the things that seem to be dismantling relationships is this lack of shared values. Because we usually are physically attracted to someone, and then, you know, maybe they're nice to us, they call us ahead, do all the things that, you know, Steve Harvey said people should do in his book. And then, but at the end of the day, it's the heart, right?
Absolutely.
And the values that come in. How do you think people might be better prepared authentically to not conform?
Well, Devon and I discussed this a lot because, you know, we were reading this book and it was talking about how if we only deal in the realm of how in love we are with each other, we'll be getting married every 5 years. And so the idea was, you know, how do we prepare ourselves as a married couple to not just stay in love, but to understand there will be seasons where we may not feel like we're in love, but we love each other and we respect each other. And it's about being partners in purpose. It's about what we are to do collectively as a unit to build God's kingdom being more important than anyone's feelings on any given day. It's about not even committing to each other as much as committing ourselves to God as a unit, you know? And that's kind of what we really went into it with, which is, you know, you're my partner, period, point blank. Whether I feel like I love you this week, whether I feel like I don't next week, whether we're attracted to each other 10 years from now, whether we're not, whatever it is, we're in this together, and we're in this together because we are committed to making each other better. We're committed to holding the mirror in front of the other one and showing them in an honest and loving way, these are the areas that you need to work on, these are the areas that I need to work on, and just, you know, again, committing our lives to the goal.
Yes, and I love partners in purpose. I've never heard that put that way before, and that's great. The other thing is, in terms of what I think is important is how to say out front, we're going to have problems.
Right.
Particularly for people that are in the industry. You know, I can't help but to cringe sometimes when you see people on TV and they say, this is forever, you know, it's the love of my life. I can't live without him. I can't breathe without him. And then some rocky times come and a friend leaks that. And all of a sudden people are saying, oh, you know, is it going to work? Is the relationship doomed? Right? So I like the way you say it's not going to be perfect. And so Devon is an ordained pastor. Minister, yes. And does he have a church?
No.
Okay.
He basically, I mean, we go to two churches. We go to one church, LA, and we also go to Mount Rubidoux in Riverside. And so he preaches at both churches, and then he also preaches all around the world, different places, and motivational speaks, and has his book, and so it's all kind of tied into the same kind of heart.
So living your authentic self came into clear view for people recently with The Dress.
Oh gosh.
And it, you know, it went viral and it hit social media. Can you talk a little bit about that scenario?
You know,
if you're not tired of talking about it.
No. I think, you know, and I kind of mentioned this before, I feel like people feel like maybe I just got saved, like last year, or when I met Devon, or just, you know, recently in general. And so I think that they expect a certain something, and then if I do something that's outside the box, they get shocked. And what they don't realize is that I've been saved since I was 12. I've been baptized since I was 19. I've always walked with God, even when I was on the cover of King magazine. So in some areas where you may not see something very different is because there isn't a lot different. I'm the same person. And my husband fell in love with my heart and my spirit that God gave me that's been consistent throughout all these seasons, that people, you know, they see certain things and they think they know you, and they think they know your heart, and they think they know your intention. And it's unfortunate because they don't. They're only getting a snippet of a story. And then they don't know enough about why or who or what or anything to have a real scope of things. But that's neither here nor there. With the dress, you know, I honestly I was going to the award show. At the time I wasn't presenting. I was shooting Think Like a Man. I flew back home to pick out the dress. I picked it out, flew back, and got on set probably wee hours in the morning, worked all the way into the next day to wee hours in the morning. Found out that I was presenting, was still on set, finished probably about 4 in the morning, caught a flight to LA, passed out in my bed, got up, put on my clothes, and went to the award show. Barely made it because I was so exhausted. So I never even thought about it. I never had a second thought. And I didn't know I was presenting a gospel award either.
Right.
And so even then, you know, after everything kind of happened, I was I can't say that I'm shocked that some people have that reaction, but at the time I was. Maybe now I wouldn't be. Maybe now I kind of almost go, oh, well, whatever, you know. But
Right.
at the time I was like, are you serious? This is something I would have worn. But they're like, you know, in their mind, they're like, but you're a Christian now. I was a Christian then too.
That's right.
But you're married now. And I said, yes, I am married, but my husband didn't marry me to change me. He loves me as me,
Yeah.
you know. And then I'm sure they'll say other things once I have kids. Oh, but you're a mother. Relax.
That's right. That's
Jesus
right.
loves me and he loves you too.
That's right.
So
And I love that message, that sort of come as you are, right?
Yeah.
To your point, we need people covering all bases. We need somebody speaking to the intellectuals. We need, you know, just from a spiritual standpoint, right?
Absolutely.
Having much respect for whatever your spiritual base is, right? Not suggesting that everybody has to be a Christian,
Right.
but there is, you know, I do believe in having a spiritual centeredness, right? Whatever that looks like for you.
yeah.
So there's, you know, of course, lots to read about you on the net and things to know. Can you share maybe something that you can't find on Google?
Well, I'm really goofy and very dorky. I do a really good baby voice that I always do that Devon loves. And I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
I got all embarrassed. I was like, oh no.
No, we'll save that for Devon and
Right.
let him. But you're sillier than most people think.
Yeah, I'm sillier and way sillier. I'm a dork.
Yeah.
For sure. And what else? I love exotic animals. I had 2 monkeys that I just had to give away this past
No
year because I was
kidding.
gone. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Were they chimps or?
No.
Okay.
Girl, I'm not trying to get my
I'm going
face
back to
eaten
Michael
off.
Jackson.
I'm done with that. No, they're small. They're probably like about that big.
Oh, okay.
But then they have like long tails. They're called marmosets.
Oh.
So I had 2 of those, and then I had to give them away this past year because I was gone for almost a full year. So, but now I want a squirrel monkey, and I have 2 hairless cats.
Oh, wow. All right. So you.
A connoisseur of cats and monkeys.
So, all right. So you own your space well in the entertainment industry and in the world, generally speaking.
Thank you.
I don't think that that's the case for a lot of people, hence the reason why I do the work that I do, right? And what do you think are some of the ways that at least people that are in the public's eye might be able to tap back into their authentic selves and not give in to the pressure? Because, you know, there's a reality around perception is reality.
Sure.
And that people make decisions based upon how they perceive you. So,
Right.
you know, what do you think is that balance?
You know, I think it's tough. You know, for me, part of the reason that I haven't conformed to anything in particular is because I can't say, when you asked me earlier, did I ever want to? I take that back. I wanted to, I just couldn't do it because being myself is the very air that I breathe, and I would die without being full and whole and real. And so it's tough because I can still sympathize with, and I remember all through my 20s the pain that I felt, even, when me and Devon first got married, even in the BET dress, it's like, it makes you sad, and you go, God, I want to fit in, but I can't, and some people do, they try, but really it does end up making you miserable and sad because it's not who you are. And so I think that, maybe if we could accept the fact that if it makes you feel trapped, maybe, that's something you shouldn't do. I don't know.
I mean, I totally can relate to that. And I think the more people kind of break out of these facades and what I call the land of make-believe, the more we'll support each other in it.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you're comfortable doing it and you're supporting me doing it, then that's, which is this movement that I'm on to try to say, let's be a little less label conscious and let's be more value led.
Absolutely.
And on that note, I think I told you that we have a game here called the Label on the Table.
Oh, yes.
And so we are going to play the Label on the Table.
Okay.
And the rules are, or how you play is, I'm going to read a scenario, and there's going to be labels in the scenario. You're going to say what you thought I meant by the label, and then I'm going to tell you what I really meant.
Okay.
Okay. So this is somebody that someone suggested you hire as a business manager. Okay. And so then I say, I wouldn't particularly trust him with your affairs. He's inappropriate, shady, and unreliable. So inappropriate.
Okay, so inappropriate, I would think means...
There's no wrong answer.
Okay, well, when I think of inappropriate, I think of someone like being like a pervert. So I think pervert.
I think we were in the similar, I said he often makes comments about my appearance that make me uncomfortable. Yeah. Shady.
Shady, I think of a person who lies, is dishonest.
Yep. So I said he didn't make me aware that I overpaid him. So that is
lied.
That is right. That's right on. And unreliable.
Unreliable, not on time, doesn't say he's gonna do what he said he was gonna do, or doesn't do what he said he was gonna do. Can't always reach them.
Yeah. In this specific, I mean, this is going to be one of the ones where we're spot on because what I said was he missed 2 conference calls.
Nice.
Yeah. So the only danger with the broad brush labels and not being specific is that if I generally say he's unreliable without explaining that I think
that
he's
he just missed 2. Right.
Then
you think he didn't come to work.
Right. And you just think that in everything he does that he's unreliable.
Right.
So I think it's important that we be careful and that we dig a little bit deeper into the labels.
Yeah.
So I would like to talk a little bit about your value system.
Okay.
And how I ask people to think about their values or maybe things that make them upset, their pet peeves, or maybe something that gets you on a soapbox. So if you had to think of a pet peeve or... Judgment.
I obviously don't like to be judged. I push against that often. I hate to see other people judged. That gets under my skin. I hate to see the underdog judged. I hate to see someone, especially if they're like, sweet and not like aggressive, be judged or bullied. I hate bullying. And people are just mean.
That's a good one. Yeah, judgment. Well, they're all good ones. I didn't mean see that was a label. I said,
Yeah.
that was a good one. What does that mean? There's
Right.
no such thing
What
as
does
a
that
bad
mean?
value. I know. Well, you know, it's a process, but I'm so sensitive to it now that when
Right.
it falls out of my mouth,
Yeah.
you know, I can come back around to it.
Right.
So you've been busy.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about the projects that you're working on?
I just finished Anchorman 2, which comes out December. I think it comes out on Christmas, and I'm really, really, really proud of it. I've seen it twice. I've seen 2 different versions. They're so incredible over there. They're just like testing it until they get it like right. It was an amazing experience to work with comedy legends who are so sweet and so nurturing and so genuinely care about you doing great and feeling great and comfortable. And they kind of just adopted me into the family. And, you know, it was like I'd been there the whole time. And of course, I was freaking out because I'm a huge fan of the first one. So I was like, when I found out I got the part, I sat in my living room and cried.
Yeah.
You know, because for me, it was one of those things where for me, it's one of those things for like everything that we've discussed in terms of being, you know, judgment and in terms of how people perceive you and all those things. It meant a lot to me because it felt like things coming full circle. You know, it felt like I'd been in the business for so long and just trying to get more opportunities and kind of fighting out of certain spaces. And, you know, when I went to go do Deception, it was very scary for me because I hadn't done TV as a regular, let alone the lead, since I was 17, 18. And so that commitment like scared me, but God dealt with me about it and was just like, listen, I know where you want to go. Now I'm telling you, this is the way you're going to get there.
Right.
You know, and I was like, okay, all right then, Lord, you know, and then I did the show, and it turned out to be an incredible opportunity, an incredible blessing to me, and then the people from Anchorman heard about me because of that show. So it's pretty awesome.
Just lily padding right on around.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
You know, he always does.
Yeah.
Even if we can't see it, it's always the best thing for us. And then just finished Think Like a Man too.
Yes, can't wait for that.
Madness on the set. So good, so good. I love that group of people. And so you can look forward to seeing more of the girls together.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that this one is a lot funnier.
Okay.
And I think everyone's going to be really, really pleased with it.
Excellent. What other roles are you looking? Are there any non-traditional roles or roles that people wouldn't expect to see you in that you're really looking to do?
There's a lot that I want to do. I am definitely one of those people where, you know, if they're like, shave your head, I'm like, done. You know, if they're like, I need you to gain 30 pounds, 40 pounds, I need you to lose 30 pounds, 40 pounds, I'm like, let's go.
Right.
You know, because I love it that much, you know, and I love submerging myself in any character. And so I haven't gotten a chance to do that yet, but I think in time, as I mature and as more opportunities come, that will happen. And then also I do a lot of producing now by the grace of God, which is exciting, and I'm moving into directing. And so, you know, if they don't give it to me, I'll make my own.
Yep. That's right. Well,
So-
I really appreciate your authenticity. And I think it's so important, you know, when we first met and we were talking about some of the nonprofit stuff, and I Googled and I was looking at the images, and just your evolution, you know, over time has been amazing, but your kind of the spirit of who you are has remained. And that's hard. It's just hard to find, you know, and I'm looking forward to being in touch with and letting people see the heart of people who often get labeled and judged based upon, which is really kind of lazy the way we do it, but just hoping that people will dig a little deeper.
I'm hoping so too, but I think, you know, that's why this is so important, and that's why I wanted to come into this, because you never know, you know, you never know what anyone has experienced or what they've gone through or the season that they're in, and when you label them, you discredit them and you don't do them justice, and you make them one thing when there's so much more and capable of so much more. And I feel like that's, you know, there's so many people who go through that, and I feel like that's my story to a T.
Yes. Yes.
but I embrace it.
Yeah.
And it's exciting.
And your
hopefully-
strength, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
No,
your
no.
strength in being able to maintain is what's pretty incredible. You know, it's hard. It's kind of like how Julia Roberts talks about if somebody keeps telling you the bad stuff, eventually you
start to
believe
believe
it.
it.
And so if somebody's trying to evolve or to show you who they are, but you
Yeah.
keep pushing them back into that box, sometimes eventually their spirit is broken and they stop
Yeah.
trying. So I applaud you on behalf of all the people who will become free because of how you live your life. And I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I hope you all have enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. I want to thank actress and community servant Meagan Good for joining us today in our journey to reach new levels of authenticity. I trust that today's show has given you greater insight into the woman behind the image, and that you are inspired to take a deeper look past the labels that we so easily apply without complete understanding. Not just for how you view others, but also in the way in which you view yourself. We'd love to hear from you. You can find us on Facebook at The Monica Cost Show, on Twitter at Monica Cost Show, and please feel free to send us an email at feedback@monicacost.com. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm your host, Monica Cost, and I'll see you next time. Until then, take the label off the table and dig in.